А что у нас сначала какое-то опять другое, да, уже? Мы возьмем, конечно же, ведро. А если бы не взял ведро, интересно?
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place
somewhere else.
А, я фигурку хотел взять.
Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Фигурка. О, тут вентиляция есть. Я возьму фигурку, пожалуй.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley
Еще
figurines.
две.
And now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Хорош.
But Stanley feared that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend.
Опять суициднулся.
So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
Блин. Черт. А? Кто тут намусорил?
All of his co-workers were gone.
Go to the cargo lift.
Нет, я пойду в вентиляцию. Я пошел в вентиляцию. О. О! Куда я попал? Где? Кто? Кто я? Где я? Кто я? Куда я попал? Чё?
Okay, this is day number 295. Tape number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. I still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms. Why everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
Страшилка какая-то уже началась. Капец, все на ведре завязано, оказывается. Забавная концовочка, забавная. Фигурка. There will be a reward for finding them all. Mission status. Large room, lot of box. Inside the sequel exhibit. Nearby fireplace. Private small place for important person. А, то есть тут отмечено то, что я нашел, то, что где не нашел, еще две как раз таки. Somewhere both red and blue. Stairs. Something to do with stairs. На лестнице? А, значит, я Все, я как раз про лестницу и подумал. Я как раз хотел вниз
Coming to a
спуститься.
staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the
No, no, no,
boss's
no.
office.
А вот я слышу, кстати, ее.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second
А,
number.
число,
and
кстати, не
that
видно
will
из-за
be
моей
it.
вебки. Только сейчас
We'll be
заметил.
different people by then.
Короче, там 5 из
Different in the
6.
sense that we used to have
Всего их
none of them.
6.
And now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anarines. None of us can.
Еще одно осталось, короче. Ну, я думаю, вы догадались, что уже 6
But Stanley
фигурок.
just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post
Во,
during
вот этот
work
принтер,
hours. He might
кстати.
be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
Они
That's
повторяются.
strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and
Комнаты
wisdom for me.
повторяются.
Difficult times such as these.
Ё-моё.
He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket.
Это не мое
Someone
ведро, это
else's bucket,
просто
perhaps.
обычное
How
ведро.
did I end up with someone else's
Как мне казалось,
bucket?
чужое
This is
ведро,
all
все
terribly
тоже.
wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. Indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd.
Комнаты
Now
повторяются.
he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Музыка такая
Could it truly
напряженная.
be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
О,
Come
ведра
to me,
появились.
Stanley. Find me.
He had to
Какая
find
из
the
них
bucket. He
настоящая?
had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along.
Внутри
It was
самого.
incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Стэнли было внутри в него ведро.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work.
Ха-ха, блин.
But on this particular day, her walk was
Теперь она взяла
interrupted by
ведро.
the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Запомните, ребятки, когда пойдете на работу, берите с собой ведро. Иначе вы сойдете с ума, как Стэнли. Или в школу там, или в шарагу, куда вы там ходите. Так, там было про красную синюю комнату, значит нам надо идти. Ну, это как, знаете, подсказка такая маленькая-маленькая. Я туда, кстати, шел, но мне не сказали туда не идти почему-то. Yes. Ведро сказала вправо, значит вправо. Сейчас еще раз, короче, туда сходим. Смотрим, может нас пропустит в эту дверь.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see,
Не, не
there's a
дает
sign right
опять.
there. It says no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was
Значит, надо
okay
было
to bring the bucket here?
ведро
Unless,
брать.
what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this
Сейчас опять
point.
мне сюда надо
Which,
будет
if
идти.
that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
А, то есть опять сюда захожу, у меня опять игра. Угу.
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really
Так, теперь я
do
без
want to
ведра
help
иду.
you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a
О,
chance.
а вот и фигурка.
And there it is. The last
Все,
Piggly Wiggly.
6 из
Savor
6.
this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing
Теперь
it.
осталось ту
Where so
переговорную
many people
вернуться.
expect to be rewarded
Вместе
for
с
the most
ведром.
trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines. Now listen
Nice.
carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Да.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door. I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Хорошо.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I want it to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution.
Ну, я остановился.
Let me show you.
Ну-ка, давай.
What do we want? What are we looking for?
А?
Here. Yes.
Оу.
It's beautiful, isn't it? If we
Ля.
just stay right here, right in this moment with this place,
Красиво.
Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Блин, красиво. Когда зашел в красную дверь.
No, wait. Where are you going?
А, мне надоело там стоять.
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Да, все нормально, я же не буду прыгать с лестницы.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
А, то есть я в любом случае должен спрыгнуть. А если я вернусь назад? Послушаю диктора. Блин, столько вариаций на самом деле в этой игре. Прям вообще с ума сойти можно. Вот я иду назад.
Good, good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
Yeah, I'm stay here. It's amazing, man. It's very amazing. Тупо чил, тупо релакс. Релаксируем как можем. Нет, я вернусь туда. А, нет, вот что-то красное загорелось. А, они просто цвет меняют постепенно. До этого были синим, сейчас зеленым, а теперь красный или оранж. Красно-розовые огоньки.
No. What do we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. You
Ладно.
heard me before, didn't you? You will die. What about this isn't getting through to you?
You will die. Ну ладно, ладно. Хорошо, уговорил меня. Не буду я прыгать с 5-го этажа. Хорошо. Не суициднусь я.
You are going to stay here, aren't you?
Yeah, man. Интересно, была бы игра на VR еще, было бы прикольнее смотрелось все это дело. Особенно вот это место. Сейчас ему уже пофигу. Сейчас меня не уговаривает. Видимо, я достиг своего апогея в этом месте. И можно, в принципе, прыгать. Не жалея ни о чем.
Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room?
Теперь не так быстро хожу.
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
Прекрасная. Это просто божественно. Тут реально что-то какие-то декорации меняются. Я думал, тут до бесконечности. Что-то тут будет происходить, а нет. Здесь у нас что-то происходит. Происходит что? Правильно, красотище. Красотище, тупо. Туполя, смотрите, как красиво, да? Но на самом деле я уже все решил.
Go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
Прости меня. А я уже все решил.
No. No, no. What are you doing? Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
Я уже все решил, товарищ диктор. Меня уже не остановить.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room.
Короче, совет вам, мои зрители. Сидите прямо лучше, иначе у вас начнется такая хрень, когда у вас
My God.
органы
Is this
будут...
really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me
Ну,
from
я
being
говорю, я
happy.
все решил уже.
Am I reading the situation correctly?
Не плачь. В общем, сидите прямо, иначе, не дай бог, у вас органы будут сдавливать, и будет очень больно, блять. Поэтому больше ходите и меньше сидите. Либо ровно сидите.
Maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
Yes, I pick chose.
Is it over?
Yeah.
It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Выбрал путь суицидника. Dead Inside, Стэнли. Чего? Это...
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things.
смысле?
It's those figurines, those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Ну давай. Как скажешь, товарищ. Now remember, when Stanley found the collectibles. Когда Стэнли нашел все фигурки. Хорошо. Я думаю, что-то из этого хорошее вышло. Да, Стэнли нашел все фигурки. Я так понимаю, мне вниз идти?
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back
Yeah.
then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Седьмая. Седьмую фигурку лишнюю нашли. Ну ладно. Хорошо.
And here was a second Stanley. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the boss's bathroom. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
Хорошо. О, это где я?
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
Я уже не помню. Но в босс-офисе вроде, точно. Потому что я потом после этого на склад пошел. Но я ее раньше увидел при этом. Так что я был прав. Я уверен, что я тут нашел.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Behind the boss's office. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you
Да,
had
да,
3 of them.
Всё
I'm
правильно.
glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your
Третье
third time
повторение
doing
любого
anything.
действия невозможно забыть. Потому что она третья, а не первая. Ауф.
Oh yes, we found a figly in this pink room. Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
В розовой комнате. Но не было никакой розовой комнаты. Это я точно знаю. Дверь не открывается. А там открывается дверь? Теперь мне их 9. Ура! Переизбыток коллекционных фигурок. Ура! Ура! О, еще
This
одна.
was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was under the stairs. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video.
Что след? Кто так строил, блин? О! Блять, это ролик с Windows. Это ролики из этого Windows Maker, блять, как называется-то? Windows Move Maker. Я в нем тоже монтирую когда-то. Ой, блин. 240, 140p, блин.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
Это было божественно. Мне понравилось.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a figly and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other, except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Хорош. И что мне с ними теперь делать? Yours present.
And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Goodbye, диктор.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards.
Обычно у меня
We'll do the
загрузка
memory zone
быстро
again from
идет,
the
а тут
opposite
помедленнее
direction. See
стало.
how that feels.
Так что мне назад идти? Ладно. Назад так назад.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more.
Давай еще назад. Ты хочешь, чтобы я назад вообще вернулся? Или как? Или да? Или нет? Кто я? А кто я? Я не
And
знаю, кто
here's
я.
where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes, I love that
У
video.
нас довод идет, что ли, или что? Давай резерв еще. Рекурсию включи, будет вообще забавно.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room.
В обратном порядке теперь собираем. Угу. Хорош.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Next one.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too.
Я тоже
The
помню.
past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figlarines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
Что было до этого? О! О, я вернулся в комнату. В большой зал наш любимый. О, так тут прыжки еще.
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on.
Yeah.
I remember hating it back then. But time does put a rose
Да,
in
новый
front of
контент, на
everything.
котором у
In
нас
fact,
все
I dare say
начиналось.
I'm
Да.
actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More memories.
Но я не попрыгаю, к сожалению, теперь. У меня же прыжки теперь все закончились.
Oh, yes. The two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one.
Как же можно забыть две двери и моя
And
комната?
before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
Что было до офиса?
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.